Dr. Zia was my student when I came from London after completion of my doctorate in 2006. And also my friend Dr. Faisal. Dr. Faisal is Faisal Lagari. He is also here somewhere. And also, you know, these are all friends. So I feel myself at home, even though I came here first time. So, sir, actually, I'm having the least knowledge on climate change, you know, amongst the person who are sitting in this area, because I'm a computer scientist and a satellite navigation engineer. So it's exactly I explained you. So what I was trying to connect the dots of my expertise where I can contribute, because that's also one of the tragedy of our society, that we live in silos and we don't want to collaborate, we don't want to basically come together and join our hands basically to support each other. And I was just also discussing with Chattha Saab that, you know, there are many good things which happened, you know, since the emerge of Higher Education Commission, that Alhamdulillah research has been promoted. It has been multiplied, but there was one exponentially grew. But there were few bad things which happened as well. And one of them is basically the competition of publishing research papers. You give my name and I'll give your name. आप मुझे हाजी बोले, मैं आपको हाजी बोलूँगा, लोग समझेंगे कि दोनों हाजी हैं. तो ये जो है ना सर हुआ, उसमें ये है कि basically we went into a race of publication. Like many people are publishing on say protocols. I mean, what is the impact of society? What is the benefit our society is getting? So I think this is quite important, that with the passage of time you have to get yourself adaptable, changeable. And I remember very well when I was pro-vice chancellor, and I basically established engineering in IBA sector, which was a totally new experiment, engineering inside IBA. But there, sir, we got registered our university with WWF, and Alhamdulillah, we were the first university in Sindh which is declared as Green University. And with the collaboration of WWF, what we did, and also I remember very well at that time Professor Abubakar Muhammad was coming from LUMS, and he is the in charge of control engineering labs, and we did basically we went into Indus River, and his research was on blind dolphins and how to find sonar, radar and navigation signals to catch those blind dolphins and save their lives. So that was one of his contribution, and Professor Naqvi, I still remember very well. So sir, very quickly, as you all know, so I don't go through all these slides. This is my presentation which I made, you know, after going through these many things, and I'll be happy to give this presentation to all of the participants, so hopefully they will contribute something. So sir, very important is that Pakistan faces a difficult climate reality, exactly as I'm saying, that on one side we are having extreme temperature, like in my village in Nawab Shah, and I'm actually from Nowshera. One is Nowshera in KPK, one is Nowshera in Sindh, which is Nowshera Feroz. So the temperature goes to 52 degrees Celsius. And on the other side, when it is winter, half of the family gets sick, you know, because of having cold, cough, and other problems. So we are facing both the extremes. And sir, these extremes increase crop damage, water stress, livelihood disruption, and food security risk. And specifically for Punjab, climate resilience is now essential, not only for agriculture but for water management as well. Next slide, please. So sir, we are having basically, you know, two-way, you know, connection. On one side, climate change is one of the most risk to industries, specifically for agriculture. On the other side, agriculture is one of the biggest contributors to climate change. The effects of climate change, it is changing temperature and rainfall patterns, reduce crop productivity, exactly as the sir was saying that few months have been drastically reduced. And floods, droughts, and heat waves increase crop losses. The water stress increases competition for irrigation and other uses. On the other side, what are the drivers from agriculture? the methane emissions from livestock and rice production, fertilizer use contributes to greenhouse gas emissions, and land use change and degraded soils reduce carbon storage. Next slide, please. Now, why this dialogue matters? Punjab's agriculture future is now a climate and water question. Punjab is central to Pakistan's food system, as it is having more than 65% of the population of the country. Its agriculture is increasingly exposed to heat stress, irregular rainfall, floods, drought, risk, groundwater pressure, and inefficient water use. The policy challenge: we are facing the challenge of agricultural productivity under climate uncertainty, water stress and competing demand, rural livelihood and food security. What are the opportunities which we can exploit? The climate smart agriculture which we need to establish, data driven advisory systems, and I think this is a place where my team can contribute, how to use AI, artificial intelligence, how to use, these computing, say kind of predictions, and forecasting behaviors, to basically mitigate the future effects and overcome these problems, which basically just because of our unawareness, as Imran said that it's a very vague term, but I'm saying unawareness exactly from this climate point of view, to stop these problems well in advance because of having some good planning. And in this thing, I think our universities are some main driving forces. Our universities, they are the knowledge centers. Our universities can lead, and I'm glad that specifically these young PhD doctors, when I was going through, this introduction, even there were our fellow sisters who were sitting there. I was thinking they are basically PhD students, or undergraduate students, but when they introduce, they are PhD doctors. Yeah. So these are the real contributors whom I think they can contribute a lot in in future research. Next slide, please. So basically, can you go back a bit slide? I think, yeah. A bit back.
This one, food security,
agriculture, food security. Slide number 5, please. This is slide number 7. Yeah. So agriculture is climate vulnerable, as we know. I don't have to go through and read like a boring lesson all of these things, because once you go through, you will enjoy this more. So agriculture is also contributing to climate change, as livestock, rice methane emissions, land use change and reduced carbon sinks, degraded soil health, and lower carbon storage. Next slide, please. So, sir, there are different climate shocks, exactly as we discussed, like droughts, floods and storms. We are having agricultural effects, specifically yield loss, because I was discussing with your vice chancellor, about one rice crop which was called, one is the basmati and second is subdasi rice. I remember very well, my grandmother used to tell me that when we used to cook subdasi rice, the fragrance goes, into a kilometer. But just because it used to give us least yield, so we stopped growing that, because we were so much commercialized. Of course, commercialization is an important aspect, but we have to have these important, say crops. If they disappear, then you will realize that what's going on in our country. And nutrition risk is also one of the factors. Next slide, please. So, agriculture intelligence is very important. That is information on crops, water, climate risk and production. And exactly, we have to educate our farmers. That's quite important, because most of our people who are living in an agricultural area, they are quite unaware and least educated. So if they will be having the complete awareness, they will be in a better position not only to get the maximum yield, but also to contribute in national economy at a maximum level. And also, this disaster response, in that I think the agronomists and universities and researchers can play a major role. Next slide, please. So, at field level decision, we have to do right decision in right time, because if we do the delayed decision, that will be having the worst impact. And there are also some policy level decisions which are required: where to target irrigation efficiency program, when to activate early warning or relief measures, how to prioritize climate smart agriculture investment, and how to evaluate policy impact over time. Next slide, please. So the farmers need practical, timely and local information. When should I plant? How is my crop performing? What threats may affect production? What threats are emerging nearby now? What are the soil moisture, rainfall and temperature conditions? What is the productivity potential or yield gap? So under water stress, these questions become decisions about livelihood production. Next slide, please. So the farmer decision needs under climate stress before the season: crop choice, which crop to produce; variety selection, which particular variety to be focused; planting window and water availability during the season; soil moisture, weather forecast, heat stress, pest and disease alerts. We have to plan accordingly. And after the season, yield performance, loss assessment, how to prevent that loss for our next production. Water productivity, next season learning. The climate resilience improves when decisions are made earlier, well in time, locally, and with solid scientific evidences. Next slide, please. Yield gap and productivity potential. Beyond average yield gap analysis asks how much production is being lost because of water stress, heat stress, poor timing, unsuitable crop choices, limited inputs, or weak advisory systems. So resilience really improves when yield is monitored in near real time, water productivity is measured, losses are mapped exactly and explained, so to give basically an idea for others to avoid those losses, because that will be a win-win strategy. Extension services receive actionable information. Then the key suitability questions are: would a different crop or a variety perform better? So if we replace that, what would be the results? Which areas are becoming more water stressed, where we need to focus and have a well in advance planning? Which planting windows reduce heat and water risk? How can we cropping system protect farmer income while saving water? And in Punjab translation, I would say when to plant, how much water, which threat response are available, which crop to produce, and what policy needs to be adopted. The key message is climate resilient agriculture is actually a bridge to fill the gap between field realities and the policy action. Then in Punjab's agriculture water climate challenges, I went through a study and found out that there are water stress pressures, high irrigation demand, groundwater dependence, canal water pressure, specifically, when you have not done proper lining in different canals. Silt is also one of the factors that how the water is properly supplied in those areas or not. Inefficient water application, crop water mismatch. And there is also a climate pressure that basically we are having extreme heat conditions, erratic rainfall, drought and flood risks available every time, pest and disease shift, and seasonal uncertainty. Next slide, please. So actually we are going through a variety of stresses. What is the water stress? Less reliable water, higher irrigation demand, and groundwater pressure. What is the agriculture stress? Crop failure risk, lower yield, higher input cost, which is going to be increased diabetes, food system stress, price pressure, food insecurity, and livelihood vulnerability. So the policy implication is that I would advise Punjab's water policy and agriculture policy must be treated as one integrated agenda. As exactly I said initially, that instead of having everybody performing in his or her own particular silos, it's better to combine, share the research, because the more you share, the more basically advantage you will get. So next slide please. And for agriculture, it is basically the lower emission from inefficient practices, improves preparedness for climate shocks, protect food systems and livelihoods for future. And on policy side, you are having evidence-based planning, institutional coordination, specifically these centers of excellence. Sir, I would also request you that Ghazi University, as you are doing a wonderful job, I would request you to establish a center of excellence in climate change, which will serve as a moon or as a sun to serve all the satellites throughout the country, in the specific area of climate change. So this is one of my humble requests. And actually, sir, the risk which we are facing is basically the product of impact and probability. What exactly do you mean by impact? That the crop losses, water shortage, income disruption, food security pressure, and on the other side, what is the probability you are having heat wave likelihood, drought probability, flood exposure, pest or disease emergence. So actually resilience policy reduces drastically impact, probability, or both of them. Next slide please. So these are basically the terms which anybody like me who is having least awareness of climate change, basically I have written for my own understanding to make or to educate myself, because once you are very clear about terminology, then you will be in a better position to serve the society as well. So next, what can AI or machine learning? I think here is the part where we computer scientists, we computer engineers, we GIS and remote sensing expert can contribute in your team as under the shadow or under the umbrella of you climate change gurus. So the first thing is the distilling raw data into actionable formation. We have to improve predictions, because the forecasting is one of the things which AI or artificial intelligence does for you, and that's why now AI, we are about to attend a Vice Chancellor's conference where now AI has made a compulsory subject in all the undergrad as well as the postgraduate programs. And I'm glad, sir, to tell you that I'm one of the few professors of Pakistan who are part of 15 national curriculum review committees, and I established many curriculums on that side. Another very important thing is optimize complex systems such as irrigation and resource allocation. That's very important, because this war is resource war. If you look at Babul Mandab, at basically Strait of Hormuz, at basically Kiel Canal, Panama Canal, Suez Canal, actually they are the resources. And people are, and if you go through, because I also got another master's in international relations, and in Europe, in London, I used to teach international business and organizational behavior. So there, basically, if you go through the First World War, the Second World War, or how Germany became economic power. Germany won 3 wars before First World War, and then Germany was the threat to all the European countries. Holstein-Schleswig War, they are provinces of Germany and Denmark. And second thing was Belgo-German War, which German has won from Netherlands and Belgium. And third was Franco-Prussian War, because Prussia means Germany, that France's areas Germany captured, and those all areas were resource rich. So sir, this is all the resource allocation and its optimization. How to utilize them properly. Accelerating scientific discovery and crop research, approximating complex simulations for planning and scenario analysis. and that simulation is done by the computer engineers and computer scientists. So sir, AI is basically not a goal, it's a tool which helps you overcome, understand and scientifically evaluate the problem and mitigate the risk in future. Next slide please. So sir, these are actually the 4-step process. First, data. You have to collect the data from satellites, from weather, from soil, from different scientific reports. Then you have to analyze it. Risk maps, forecast, suitability, how to use machine learning and artificial intelligence to support that. Then basically we suggest, we give the advisory extensions, SMS alerts to farmers, dashboards, and also different type of alerts to our scientific organizations, our government agencies, and finally is the action. How to have the proper irrigation, planting policy, and relief from these problems. So sir, the missing link is often not data, but translation into usable decisions. You are having data available everywhere, but how to translate, how to utilize it maximum for your benefit and for the benefit of humanity. Next slide please. So why satellite and earth observing data matters? It monitors crop area, crop type, vegetation condition, it detects spatial patterns, support yield estimation. So we are having the satellites, alhamdulillah, through SIPARCO. We are having our scientific satellites. You remember Badr 1 and Badr 2, the first scientific satellites, and still I am in touch with SIPARCO. These are meteorological satellites and weather forecasting satellites which can provide the data well in advance, so you can basically have the preventive measures. So the remote sensing, specifically for Punjab, the remote sensing can support crop monitoring, irrigation planning, drought, early warning, and district level policy dashboards. So the next slide please. So the information inputs, we are having short-term weather forecasts, seasonal climate outlooks, soil moisture estimates, and local farmer observations, and advisory outputs are irrigation timings, crop stress alerts, heat wave protection messages, drought risk warnings, water saving recommendations. And the policy point is water saving technology must be supported by water saving decisions. Next slide please. So a practical adaptation pathways, the climate resilient agriculture requires identifying where high water demands crop remain suitable, where alternatives are needed, and how cropping calendars should shift under changing climate conditions. And what are the adaptation directions, suitability maps by district and season, climate smart varieties, and crop calendars. So we have to basically yield the crop well in time, and right decisions at right times are done specifically for cropping, and crop diversification without having any income loss. Next slide. A new role for universities. Where is our role? Because we are at the hub, at the center of this decision making. Universities can serve as neutral evidence generating, so I think that's quite important. We don't have to have judgmental, subjective, and biased kind of analysis that this is what everything. We have to focus more on technical and scientific facts and figures that will benefit all the schools of thought and all the niches of public institutions that connect science, technology, policy, and community need. It develop regional climate and agriculture and all these things. So actually, a university is not only a place of teaching, a place of research, but also a platform to serve humanity and problem solving. And responsible AI, equity, trust, and farmer inclusion. I think, sir, there is an ethical warning that climate technology must reduce inequality, not widen the digital divide. I'm sure you all are aware of digital divide that unfortunately worldwide as well as in our country, the 80% of the population are having access to 20% of the resources, while the 20% of the population, they are having access to 80% of the resources. And exactly when Imran and when Sir Chima has basically produced and also throw a coin of the idea of South-South dialogue, I think that's very important, that we have to have more resources for underdeveloped areas instead of having the basically concentration of these resources only in Lahore, Islamabad or Karachi. Because rural areas, you will find more basically ground to serve more area, specifically in the field of agriculture and climate change, where you can serve in a better style. So next slide please. So what are the policy recommendations for Punjab? Number one, shift from only crop productivity to water productivity, more value per drop of water. Develop climate smart crop and irrigation advisories for farmers. Build shared data platforms for agriculture, water, weather and disaster risk. Use universities and climate intelligence and policy support institutions. Promote crop suitability mapping and diversification in water stress zone. Strengthen farmer-centered extension, trust building and local feedback loops. And the implementation principle is evidence must move from laboratories to departments, from departments to farmers, and from farmers back into policy learning. Okay, so I have to conclude my presentation, and even after conclusion, sir, I'll take you a couple of minutes more because I'm also thinking that it was a quite boring presentation for some of you because you have listened. Maybe interesting for some of the audience. So the climate resilient agriculture is no longer only about protecting crops. It is about protecting water, food, farmers. It has to protect farmers. Very important. Livelihood and future generations. For Punjab, the real challenge is to produce more wisely under increasing climate and water stress. Protect water, use every drop more wisely. Very important. As it is mentioned in Hadith as well, that you don't have to waste water. And you have seen many stickers, which I think we have to basically put, sir, on all our, say toilets, say washrooms, everywhere. And I think that may increase the awareness. Secure food, build resilient and adaptive farming system. If you look at Sudan, if you look at Somalia, if you look at different areas of Central Africa, how people are dying to have the normal food for their children. Many children are dying because of having lack of food, and we have to support farmers because we have to turn climate knowledge into practical decisions. And I think, sir, that's very important that we have to have adoptable, as exactly I'm a poet, and also I'm very much fond of Hazrat Iqbal, Hazrat Faiz, Hazrat Josh Mali Abadi. So I want to say with your kind permission that we have to be adoptable. कि जहाँ में अहले ईमान सूरत खुर्शीद जीते हैं, इधर डूबे उधर डूबे इधर डूबे. और सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि सर, the most important thing is your humbleness, where you can be mingled with others. So I have to say one verse on that, कि छोटा हूँ इसलिए मुझे ऐसा है सबके यार, और मौसम को मैं बुला दूँ इतना बड़ा. और दूसरा ये कि पहले तो कभी आप मायूस हो जाया करते थे कि लोगों में कुछ नहीं है, बस पूरी दुनिया ऐसी तरह है. तो उसी पे मुझे हज़रत मोहसिन एहसान का एक शेर याद आ गया कि वसत में तो यकता है मगर साया न सब्ज़ा, और सहरा भी मेरे हल्के यारा की तरह. तो इससे मायूस नहीं होना है, आगे बढ़ते जाना है. क्योंकि जैसे चट्ठा साहब ने कहा, हमने और हमने तो अपनी ज़िंदगियाँ गुजार दी. अब आप हैं, यू आर फ्यूचर, आपने आगे बढ़ना है. और ये जो है ना, जो भी हमें हुक्म मिले उसी के ज़रिए हमने काम करना है, आगे बढ़ना है. तो रक्स करने का मिला हुक्म जो दरियाओं में, हमने खुश हो के भंवर बांध दिए पाँव. क्या बात है. और आखिर में یہ شعر کہ ڈوبتے ڈوبتے کشتی کو سہارا دے دوں، یہ نہیں کوئی تو ساحل پہ اتر جائے گا. اور حضرت احمد ندیم قاسمی کی اس دعا کے ساتھ اختتام کروں گا کہ خدا کرے کہ میرے عرض پاک پر اترے وہ فصل گل جس سے اندیشہ زوال نہ ہو. یہاں جو سبزہ ہوگی وہ اگا رہے صدی، اور ایسا سبز کہ جس کی کوئی مثال نہ ہو. اور خدا کرے کہ میرے ایک بھی ہم وطن کی حیات جرم زندگی وبا.
Thank you.